Hey everyone, in this episode we're going to talk about A Wrinkle in Time. We're going to talk about general thoughts, if it met our expectations or if we're a little bit disappointed by it. All that and more in episode 22 of the Reel-ists podcast. Reel-ists out there, thanks for checking into this episode. I'm Oscar.
I'm Donnie.
And I avoided that statement. Welcome back. I just wanted to make that point. And we have our
I
producer,
didn't say
Ruben.
it in the last episode.
I know you didn't.
Oh, okay.
But we're making a mental note.
Okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying welcome back.
It was a discussion, guys. That's why it came
Sorry,
up.
yes. Sorry, I did cut you off. We have our producer, Ruben, here.
Hello. And he says hello. And that's O-line Spanish, in case any of our Spanish listeners.
It's bonjour in French.
There you go.
It's konnichiwa. No, I don't know.
Okay.
Is it konnichiwa? Maybe not. Let me just stop. Sorry, I offended our fans.
Yep, we may have lost a few ones. But yes, thank you again for tuning into this episode. We really do appreciate it. Definitely spread the word about this. We always want to have, new listeners each week. We air on Thursdays. Same place, same time, wherever podcasts are. Mm-hmm. You can always follow us on social media as well. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Team Reelists, Team R-E-E-L-I-S-T-S, no dash.
No dash.
Team Reelists.
Team Reelists.
And this movie is Wrinkle in Time. That's what we're going to cover. Do we have any housekeepings? I don't think we have any housekeepings, right? I think we're good. Nothing comes to mind?
Don't think so. Just don't spoil it.
It's a spoiler.
Spoil it?
Spoiler, yes. There's going to be a spoiler discussion of the movie.
I also just want to say before we get ripped to shreds that we did not read the book. So this isn't a comparison of film to the book.
That is true.
Just in case anyone's going to say, you guys need to read the book.
Should have we read the book when we were little? Maybe that's a different discussion, but this is just about the movie.
This is just the film. Our thoughts of the film.
In the same way that you go see, a superhero movie without reading the comic books, in the same way you go see Peter Rabbit without reading the children's book.
Get 'em.
In the same way you don't see Call Me By Your Name without reading the book.
Get 'em.
This is just a movie discussion only.
Snap, snap, snap.
But speaking about that, Donnie, A Wrinkle in Time. Let me just read a brief description of it so we can get that covered. Get your general thoughts, though, because that's the first question I'm asking you.
Okay.
All right. So A Wrinkle in Time is about Meg and her little brother, Charles Wallace, who have been without their scientist father, Mr. Murray, for 5 years since he discovered a new planet and used the concept known as a tesseract to travel there. So it's a rescue mission, essentially, just to shorten that part out.
Okay.
But yes, Donnie, what are your general thoughts about this movie?
General thoughts are I think it's a great film for kids. I think kids are going to love it. I thought that there would be a little more that would appeal to a more mature audience as well. And they had moments that I was into, but for the most part, it fell a little short of my expectations. Not that my expectations were super high, but I felt like there were just some parts that were they just didn't really, they didn't really make sense to me.
I can see that.
On the journey, from when the time that the Mrs. Who, What's It, and Which came to the time when they found...
Oh, those were their names. That's right.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was like, Todd, don't be rude.
What are you talking about?
Who, what, and what's it?
From the time they appeared on screen to the time they went and rescued the father or got the father, I just felt like some of those steps weren't necessary or they didn't need to go certain places.
It was definitely one of those stories where there was a lot going on, and I'm sure that that's how it is in the book.
Right.
But you have to...
I mean, it is. And I know, like I said, this was a great movie for kids. And I know A Wrinkle in Time is a kid's book. But I just felt like...
The movie is supposed to appeal to as
broad of an audience as it could. So
in its genre. And this is a fantasy film.
Right. So, I mean, but it was a good film. It was a cute film. Obviously it had a good message at the end. And
love conquers all.
Love is more powerful than any type of hate or evil or darkness out there. So that's great. Obviously, that's such an important message. I think that we can never stop instilling in children and young people, even adults. It's good to be reminded of that.
I mean, mine is very similar to what you're saying. in that, yes, I felt like when I started watching this, things happened a little too quickly. Like at first I was like, okay, we're gonna really take our time to fall into this world, but this world kind of came to our characters, and I think that also was different, and I was not comfortable with to start off with. So I think that was like a wrong foot in a sense for me personally, not the movie. But
it kind of feel, for at least for me, it kind of felt like an intrusion slightly.
Yeah,
like because normally, and I know, and maybe this is a good thing they didn't do it like this or whatever, or maybe this is just how the book goes. But like normally, you know, kids are off playing somewhere and they're out and they discover something.
Yes,
but like Mrs. What's it came to Meg and
just has like knowledge about, you know, their husband or the dad. Mm-hmm. Like it's just like, it's one of those things where I'm just like, this doesn't feel like it's starting off where I want to go into this world. This is more like the world coming to me
and basally saying like, you don't have a choice,
right? You got to go on this adventure.
Yeah,
and yeah, I think that's where it started off with. I get it, but now like looking back, I do have a question that never necessarily got answered. Is how did Charles Wallace get into this world? There has to be some origin. Like he just knew it. Like, you know, like I get he was intelligent. He was like, you know, ahead of.
Oh, because he already knew.
He knew the characters. He knows where they're at.
The beings.
He knew about like, you know, the Tesseract.
Yeah, he knew all of that.
Like he knew. Yeah.
So I guess, I mean, is that just like from
did
what
they
I
come
got
to him?
From what I got from it, yeah,
him?
is that they came to him. Maybe they've been coming to him. Like maybe one day just appeared. Maybe because I think too, like, and this kind of ties into like what ends up happening with Charles Wallace towards the end of the film, but like I feel like Charles Wallace is supposed to be like such a light, I guess, like his aura is just a light, so maybe that's what attracted the Mrs. Who, Which, and What's It to him initially, and you know, maybe that's how he, you know, just slowly began to learn about them and this whole world.
And I think just going into that, there was a lot of things that it wanted to show you, but for the sake. The movie, okay. the world, the universe that we're being taken into.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a lot that it wanted to show you. It wanted to show you these beautiful places, the beauty of, you know, it's different. It's not Earth.
Yeah. Like undiscovered territory.
But at the same time, it's about rescuing the father. And I kind of felt where Meg was. You know, she was just like, okay, this is cool and all, but I need to find my father.
Yeah.
And she was, you know, having problems, you know, being able to be in this world because she didn't have that kind of life or light, I guess, in this situation. So I do understand that, but I really felt like this was just like a story that was like, the premise is finding a father, but it got lost in its way and it like kind of had to reroute itself, but eventually finds itself back on the road of finding, you know, their father. Mm-hmm. So I think that's what I have a problem with. It's not that normally when you watch a movie, you stick to the plot and the audience then wants to know more about this world. That's generally how it works, or generally how it's common. In this case, it was different. This was like the world was really, you know, you were exploring without you wanting to, and it was just like, okay, so now we're here. Okay, now we're here.
Yeah, it kept like, I felt like it was like ripping me out of the one place and throwing me in another place, and I didn't get a full, I guess, sense of like that place, like, you know.
Yeah, and then who?
Like, it's like, wait, like, where are you? Like, where are we now? Like, it was kind of, like a kind of, I don't want to say frustrating. It wasn't frustrating, like, but it was just.
It was like.
It wasn't like
it didn't want to pull.
It wasn't a smooth transition.
It didn't want to look up the directions to get to the father. It just wanted to be like, oh, I know where to go, and it got lost essentially for a little bit until it found a way to curve back to finding the father. That being said, the characters I think were very interesting by them, like characters themselves.
Yeah.
Each one, the Mrs. Who, Which, and What's It, and the kids, all of them were very interesting.
Yeah.
I think it just because of the big names here, the three, Mrs. Who, Which, and What's It.
Oprah.
What did that come out for you, Donnie? How did?
I thought I did like them. I felt like they weren't given, and once again, I don't know how the story worked or what was in the book. I felt like we didn't even really get to spend a lot of time with them. Like, I felt like they were initially, like, we were introduced to them, and they were kind of like, you know, they were taking them to a couple
introducing
introducing them to different places, and then like they were like, all right, this is on you now. Like, I feel like the way it was marketed, it seemed like they were going to be like such a big part of the film. But they didn't hold that much screen time for me.
That's true. I agree. And I understand, these actresses chosen are not the actresses that you probably would think of like going on a journey with the kids. I felt like they definitely were more kind of like parental guidance kind of thing, or at least analogy wise. So I can see, yes, maybe they weren't going to be on the journey step by step with these kids.
I also just feel like
they just got weak all of a sudden, like, okay, now we have to go. And it's just like, well, you weren't showing you were getting weak. You were showing you were getting fine.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of get that, because I think they were telling Meg, like, this is something you guys have to overcome. You guys have to like stand up to like, we can't do it. It has to be you. So I think that's why they backed out.
But they were saying they can't travel anymore. Like it didn't seem like there was just like, oh, is this something we can't do for you? This is something you have to do. It felt more of like, well, we're tired and we're done. So we'll see you guys later. It felt more like that to me, at least. But I mean, the performances wise, they were great. They definitely were very interesting. I just want to make sure.
Mrs. Switch was Oprah.
Yes.
Which I just want to say, she was like literally a giant
for
in
like
the movie.
A good portion of her screen time.
I don't understand what the purpose of it was. Like, there was no reason that she needed.
And then all of a sudden she corrects herself.
Right. That was one of the pet peeves. I was like, there was no purpose of her being that size. At least for me. Or just unless it was just to show that, like, out of those three, she was like the head honcho. I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, that could have been one that they show for initially, and then she shrinks down. Like, there's things you can make it work to show that, but I 100% would agree. They definitely were interesting characters. I don't know necessarily if these actresses nailed these roles in the sense that these are like, I can see why they were chosen. Mm-hmm. I did feel like they were very one-dimensional.
You know what? I don't mean to like go like behind the scenes, but the casting of these three characters, it's so random to me. Like,
I could see that.
Oprah, Reese Witherspoon, and Mindy Kaling, like, they're all great. They're all so good. They're all amazing. And I've seen all like films of all of them, but to see them all three together, like, for me, it's not like they had like this intense chemistry amongst them. Like, I think they all played their roles pretty well, but it's not like, I feel like they could have put some different actresses in it and it would have had the same effect. Like, I don't feel like, and I'm not, that's not to say anything. I love all three of them. They're all amazing actresses, but I just don't.
But it was
kind of a random pairing for me.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't click.
Random.
I get that for sure.
Maybe they were trying to, like, broaden the whole racial thing and like have, a black actress, Indian actress and white actress. And, maybe that was some of the thinking behind it. Or maybe they really had those three in mind to cast, but
who knows behind the scenes.
I thought they did good.
But I just don't feel like because they didn't have enough. But I just don't feel like we really got to allow them to step
go
into
deeper
these.
with
yeah.
them.
They would just it felt more of like they're serving a plot point, and that's very inconvenient. But I do want to ask: is there a standout performance out of all the characters you saw in this movie? Was there anyone that you say you get the award for breakout? Well, not breakout, but for MVP of this movie?
Yeah, I think her name's Storm Reid. Storm Reid, the girl who played Meg, the main girl. I thought she was great in this movie. I thought she was so good. I felt like in the beginning, you're really looking at the story of this girl who's really this like teenage girl. She's really missing her father. She doesn't know what happened to him, and like her grades are slipping, and all these kind of things that adolescents go through. But I felt like she was just so relatable, like, just for like, especially for teenagers. I felt like she came off really relatable. She
had a bully.
There was like things that kids go through, but I feel like there was something. Like, sometimes you can see like young actors and they, it seems like they're kind of on Broadway. Like, sometimes it seems like they kind of overact a scene, or try to really put put emotion into this specific scene or that, whatever. But I felt like she didn't do that. Like, I felt like she was pretty authentic. Like, when she was sad, she really seemed sad. When she, like when she was happy or smiling, it seemed really genuine. Like, I thought she just did great. And then in the end, like when she, kind of defeated the It and, Even in the scene where there was a scene where it was kind of like another version of herself, and she was like snobby and like her hair was straightened, and she was kind of like a mean girl. Like even that, like I felt like that was even authentic. I was like, ooh, she looks like a little mean girl right there. You know, the way she was walking and rolling her eyes, and you know, like but I felt like she just throughout the whole film she did great. I really loved that they cast her in this. I thought she did great.
She did. She definitely earned her.
She was the most, she was the one that did it for me.
I definitely agree with that. For the sake of saying someone else, so you won't take all that. I think Charles Wallace Murray actor who portrayed that character. I don't know why I said backwards. I should have just said it. But Derek McCabe.
Yeah.
That was a great performance for his age.
He did good.
But there's obviously...
I was just annoyed that they kept calling him Charles Wallace. And once again, that could be what they say in the book. Maybe that's just what his name is. But it was annoying. I'm like, why can't you guys just call him Charlie Charles?
I did enjoy his ability to portray this light and then have this darkness with him.
Yeah.
I don't know how it was for him to do that, but for a young age to be asked to be one character the entire movie and then be able to be a different character at the very end, at least temporarily. Very hard to ask for young actors, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because they think there's just one character they can portray, but very, 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 very different.
Yeah, essentially you have to play two characters.
And I mean, Calvin, the actor that played Calvin, also deserves some credit too for being that friend. Yeah.
Yeah.
For being able to
Levi Miller.
Yes, he helped. He helped in the movie.
He was like kind of I feel like just like a moral supportive character, like just kind of like I'm with you, like
despite his harsh background too, like his dad yelling at him.
Yeah,
so it's very relatable for kids. I absolutely agree with that. 100%.
I even like, and there were a couple moments that really like, other than Storm Reid's performance, I was saying that like she came off really authentic. Even like some of the subject matters, like, okay, like this girl is dealing with her dad leaving, and it's not only her dealing with it, like her mom's obviously heartbroken about it too, and they don't know where he is, and like her grades start slipping, and there's a scene in the beginning when the principal is like says something like, you can't keep using your dad's disappearance as an excuse. And I felt like that was such a realistic, like authentic moment, like, because I feel like I've heard that I used to do tutoring in school with middle schoolers, and I remember like teachers would say things like that, you know, and like you can't. I remember one teacher was like, "Oh yeah, well his parents got divorced, but he's been acting out way before that, blah blah blah." You know, and it's like I get why people say that, but at the same time, it's like you can't tell a kid like how they're supposed to feel, you know.
That's
so it's
true.
like when it like. With Meg, like her dad left and she loved him so much and doesn't know where he is. So like she doesn't know how to, you know, of course her grades are going to slip, or of course she's going to like, you know, I think, didn't she like get into a fight or something? Didn't she like she threw a ball at someone or something like that?
Yeah, threw a ball at the
like, of course
bully.
She's going to act out. So, and I love that the principal, I mean, the principal shouldn't have said that to her, but I love that they put that in the movie. You know, because I think that is something that kids hear, like, oh, you can't, like, whatever kids go through, parents divorce or a death in the family, and I think sometimes adults cannot really fully understand what the child is really going through or how much it really does affect them. So I like that they put that in there, even though it was just a small scene, and it's not like that was like his only line, I think, in the movie, or, you know, that was one of his few lines in the movie, the principal. But I thought that was like a nice scene that was really realistic, and that is something that happens. You know, principals do talk like that to students, unfortunately.
That's true. I think, in speaking of the realist part of it, one of the things that I found myself having an issue with was just the relationship that just immediately grew with Calvin and Meg. I get, you know, they go to the same school and stuff, but I didn't feel like they were friends before, and I understood he said, I just felt I had to be here, but I just felt like they were two friends too quick. Like it was just too much trustworthy, and maybe that's just being kids. But I'm trying to think myself, like if I would put in a position where I'm with someone completely new and it's a new environment, going to her house and everything, I definitely would have that more like, okay, when can I go home? Like I know he was down to go on this adventure, but like I get he didn't want to be away from he wanted to be away from his dad, but it just felt like he didn't get really a chance to show that it was more of just like he just tagged along and he was stuck with them until the end. So I feel like it was just two instant friendships, and I know that happens, but I don't know if that can really happen when you're both thrown into like a new place, a new area.
Right.
Because I'm sure like maybe he had questions, or maybe I don't know. It's definitely something I would be curious about in the book and how they developed. But that was just my one realist kind of thing. I was like, well, when it comes to new people meeting together, I don't know how quickly you guys just become BFFs. I know like that does happen where you guys are just have so much in common, but I didn't feel like they had any much in common. You know, they were both in a uncomfortable setting of dad disappearing, dad being abusive. Mm-hmm. And that was a great way for them to talk. But I just felt like their bond was immediately like connected without really, if anything, reassuring it down the road.
Yeah, I can see that.
That was my only thing. Speaking as we get to our score here, but any favorite scene or anything you want to just briefly talk about?
It's not my favorite scene, but I do the scene when they were about to rescue the father. They found the father, and they were gonna I guess test her back to their Earth. But yes. Charles Wallace was possessed by the it, and basically the father was like, "We have to go," and then Meg was like, we can't leave him." And in the moment, I was slightly annoyed because I was like, he is possessed by the darkness, like he's gone, and you spent all this time trying to find your dad, and you found him, so go. However, I mean, obviously that was just in the moment, like maybe like 5 seconds of me thinking that, but it was the right thing to do to not want to leave the brother.
Yeah.
And I just felt like that was, as much as she loved her dad and wanted to save her dad, she also wasn't gonna it's not like she wasn't gonna trade her brother to get her dad.
Right.
And I felt like that just like spoke to her loyalty and her just like goodness as a person, as a sister, as a daughter. Like, I think she was just like, I think that was just a really courageous act for her to do. So I really liked that scene. And obviously when she was talking to Charles Wallace and, basically she was basically like saying, "You're good," and defeating the it, and the it came out of Charles Wallace. That was good too.
Not a favorite scene of mine, so I'm not going to opt for that choice, but I did want to talk about when Mrs. What's-It became that like creature,
that like dragon leaf, green flying serpent thingy.
That's fine that she has powers, but the other two did not. I mean,
I was like, for real, we're really gonna like, you can really turn into.
And
that?
It's just like you go in this journey, and like, what does it serve? Like they are seeing, they're seeing the world through the sky, and they can see it. I get that at the end they see the darkness, and that kind of like change, like it brings the happiness down, or humbles them, whatever. But I'm just like, did she really have to turn into that? That's just one that I was like.
That was just I feel like another random thing that was thrown in.
Yeah, like
it didn't. I feel like it didn't.
Did that drain her energy?
Anything.
Like those kinds of things. Like why didn't the other two become another character?
Right. Like, are they not capable of doing that as
well?
Do
they all have their unique? Yeah, that's that's the very thing. That's
no, totally. I was right there too. I was like, okay, she can turn into this. Okay, and I was like, what else can she turn into?
Right?
Can they turn into other stuff? Like all these questions.
And they don't even
like that brought on so many questions in my head.
A lot of questions that did not go answered. I think that's very unfortunate about this movie. I don't know if it's going to get a sequel.
Yeah.
2 Wrinkles in Time.
some crinkles in time.
I don't know if it's going to get based off of how it's performing and critics and box office.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard because I would want to see more, but not because I was intrigued by this first one. But I do want to see, what other stories, given that this is a book, I'm sure the book has different stories to tell. So that's always fascinating in that aspect, but not necessarily because this movie brought me into this world and I want to stay. Definitely is not that reason, unfortunately. But everyone, let us know what you think about this one.
We're not doing a final real score?
Oh, the real score. I forgot the score. Donnie, what's your score?
I really, 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 really wanted to like this film, and it's not that I hated it. It disappointed me more than it wowed me. So for that reason, I'm gonna give it a 2.5 out of 5 reels. I felt like the character, specifically Mrs. Who, Which, and What's It, they were, one dimensional, and we didn't really get much from them. And there were, like I said, we said, there were a couple of things in the plot that were just like, huh? Like, is this really necessary? Did you guys really have to put this in? But I thought it was a great attempt, and like I said, I think it's a good. I think kids will really enjoy it, but just for me personally, slightly disappointed.
I'm actually it's a new low for me. I'm actually giving it a 2. I don't think I've given it to any movie that we've covered.
What'd you give Red Sparrow? I felt like that. You gave that 2.5.
I have a 2.5.
Dang.
Ruben gave it a 1.5.
Dang. Yeah, he did.
A Wrinkle in Time is getting a 2. For the reasons you mentioned, and it was just one of those where I understand the book has a lot. I understand that the source material is a lot to pull from, that you want to make sure you don't leave anything out. Anytime there's something being pulled from source material that you love, that you recognize, yes, you want to see all that. So that part for me is the problem in this situation, is that there was so much that they didn't make this a single story that we wanted to go into. I mean, watching the trailers, we knew it was about finding the father, but watching this movie, I was disappointed in how all of this played out. There was some nice, twist. I didn't think, Charles Wallace. Here I'm saying Charles Wallace.
Just call him Charles. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm sure, that was nice that he was dark. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
The characters were very likable. So there was a lot of positives, but ultimately,
speaking of, too, I just want to say, just throw this out there real quick. Michael Peña's character, that didn't. I feel like that was unnecessary too.
Yeah, I mean, you can even say that for.
It was like such a
for Zach Galifianakis.
Yeah, I feel like
to some extent. Well, he had a little bit more reason than
than Michael.
But I mean a lot of missed opportunities in that. It's one that I personally don't see myself watching again.
Yeah, I don't either.
So it's definitely, if that's a factor into my score, is rewatchability.
I don't either. Neither do I. Neither do I.
So for those reasons, yes, it is getting a 2. It's a new low, but
okay.
I definitely want kids to see this. I don't think it's one that everyone should see. It's definitely, if you like fantasy, it's.
And I'm sure if you did read the book, I'm sure we'll get a kick out of seeing the movie
to some extent.
I'm sure you'll. Yeah, I think it's worth giving a chance.
But everyone, let us know if we're wrong. Maybe we're not seeing it right. maybe there's
what are they like? What are you guys talking about? This is the best movie of 2018, hands down.
I'm still waiting for that one person to be like that. But no, yeah, let us know if you think our thoughts are on the same page as you, or if you do think this movie should be better, and why. We definitely would love to hear thoughts.
Yes, please let us know.
I do want to mention we are gonna have another guest next week. Woo! So we're gonna look forward to that.
Who is it?
It's gonna be another friend of ours, Scott. Oh no, it's not gonna be a surprise. Well, who's gonna be surprised?
Oh no! I thought you were gonna say it's a surprise tune in next week, but.
Okay. I mean, if it was like a celebrity or someone that's well known, I think that would be a nice marketing tool.
Yeah.
But he's a friend of ours.
Scott's awesome.
Scott, also known as Chef Scott.
Chef Scott.
So that's going to be one. He's going to be covering Love
He's going
to
be live from the theater, live from the Regal theaters.
Scott, are you there? No, but yes, he's going to be covering Love, Simon with us. So that's definitely going to be fun.
Nice. Can't wait to see that.
Hopefully everyone checks those out. Definitely remember, we're on Thursdays. Every Thursdays we have new episodes. Check us out wherever podcasts are available. Mm-hmm. Any last words, Donnie? We good?
Bon voyage.
Thank you, Team Reel-ists. Have a good night.
Peace.